We've made it to the last video in the series, and you probably think by now there can't be any more information, but unfortunately there is. There are three types of mattresses that I want to talk about today, and what I want to finish up with is just to go through another checklist. I mentioned one right at the very start, but now that you've got all this information from all of these videos, I want to try and present it to you in a way that you can get the most out of it when you do go shopping for mattresses, because otherwise you will be overwhelmed. I can almost guarantee it. So let's get into those three mattress types. The first thing I want to talk about is actually not so much the mattress, but the slat base. Now, slat bases have a number of pros and cons, and some of the positive things about it is that they can be cheap. Now, we're talking about the wooden slats that go across the bed underneath the mattress, and so they can be quite cheap because they're quite thin. They also reduce the thickness of the entire bed, so it could be an access issue for someone who needs a bed that's physically lower to the ground. They're easy to put together and move around, which can be for some people a useful point, but for most people who moves a bed. The other thing, you can have different sorts. So for example, if the slats are thicker pieces of wood, then they tend to be flat and don't give at all. And when that's the case, you need to pay important attention to the mattress you're using, because the mattress is going to be providing you all of the comfort and support, and the base is simply something you're lying on as if it's the ground, as it were. Then there's also the wood that it's usually thinner, and it has an upward bow in it. Now these ones are going to be giving under tension. They're going to give a little bit when you're lying on it, so they're going to add a certain layer of comfort and support, if you like. But you need to pay attention, because if that's working against how your mattress is meant to be supporting you, might find that extra support is actually detrimental to how well the mattress can support you. It means, of course, if you do have these types of sprung wood, you need to be able to adjust the tension to take into account the different parts of your body, and, as I've always said, how you prefer to sleep. You also need to pay attention if they are going to be split in the middle, because that's going to provide a harder section in the middle of your bed, which will probably be a no-go zone for where you want to sleep. So if your bed isn't particularly wide, that's going to make it even narrower for the two left and right hand sides. By the same token, if you don't have a middle split in the way the slats have been put together, then you have more use of the bed, but the chances are it's a bit softer and it might start to sag. So you need to pay attention to these types of things. It comes down to the same kind of issues. How heavy are you? How do you prefer to sleep? What's the type of mattress that you want to have? Probably the biggest positive thing about that is because of the access to air, it means that your mattress is going to be nice and dry, which is a bit of a problem comparatively if your mattress is sitting on a more solid base. So it is something to pay attention to, especially if you're in hot environments. It might help keep your bed fresher and more hygienic. I guess it was in the 80s my parents tried a waterbed. Now back then they tended to be one big bladder that everyone shared, and there was nothing to stop the water flowing around. They were a nightmare because you basically just sloshed around. Total nightmare. Now they've come a long way since then, but they run into the same kind of problems as every other mattress does. Yes, it conforms to your body. That's probably one of the best ways it can work in that regard. But you do need to pay attention. Does the bladder that the water's sitting in, does it have baffles to stop the water sloshing around? I believe you can also get them so you can change the water, in effect the pressure, so that you can have different parts of your body supported in different ways. You can also, of course, look to have the bed split into two bladders, left and right, so that you're not disrupting the sleep of your partner. There are all sorts of issues in terms of maintaining water quality. If you happen to have a rip or a tear in it, then you've got a big issue with a water leak. You do need, in some countries, to also pay attention to the weight of the bed is going to be huge, and not all structures are designed to carry that much weight on such a small area. So you do need to pay attention, because it could also be an insurance issue. And that was actually an issue, like I mentioned, back in the 80s, because my father used to sell insurance. And we're talking about New Zealand, which is earthquake prone. Now, if you have a lump of water in a mattress and there's an earthquake, that lump of water can in one go demolish a wall while it's being pushed around during an earthquake. It seems like a silly thing, but you do need to pay attention to that depending on what part of the world you're living in and if earthquakes are an issue. Of course, you also have a heating bill with keeping your bed warm. That can be positive for some people, but remember what I talked about, what the ideal sleeping temperature is. So I'm not sure if you want to sleep on water that's 17, 18 degrees, but that's a thought. And just a very practical note, you might find that your bed linen doesn't fit. There might be different requirements so that it actually can work around it. So do pay attention that if you want to go for the waterbed direction, that you're not then faced with an entirely new set of sheets, which can be very expensive. The very last mattress type that I want to talk about is a futon mattress. Now a futon, you will know, it's sort of a Japanese style. It tends to be rolled up. Different materials are used in it. I used to have one that was cotton. And the idea is that that's laid out on the floor. So it is very hard. Now, we've already talked about what a hard mattress can do for you. It's only going to suit some people in some sleeping positions. I'm not keen on putting it on the floor because you're going to need to roll it up every day so that it gets aired. Otherwise, it's going to start to absorb your sweat and become unhygienic. I used to have this futon mattress on top of a solid slat. Sorry, not a solid slat, but a straight slat base. And it was reasonably comfortable for me at the time. However, as I said, it's not going to be the best for everybody. And you need to put into account all those other things I've talked about in the other videos as to whether that's the best sort of mattress for you. And here we are right at the very end with the roundup. How exactly are you going to make the decision to buy a mattress? Now I'm going to go through a quick checklist for you. You can disagree with the points or perhaps the order, but I think these are the important things you need to take into consideration when you make this big decision. Firstly, think about what is it you like in your current bed and what do you dislike so that you have those thoughts in mind when you go and check out the new mattress. Remember to pay attention to your sleep position because that's going to affect the firmness of the mattress that you need to pick. And of course, the heavier you are, the firmer the mattress probably should be. The more difference between you and your sleeping partner, the more you need to consider perhaps are the mattresses somehow split. The first time you go shopping, don't take your wallet, allow 2 or 3 hours, and maybe even take your pillow with you, because the pillows that they have in shops aren't very nice to lie on often. So go in, assess what's there, make photos, take notes, because all the different brands and models of the beds is going to be quite confusing. You cannot test a bed by sitting on it, so don't do that at all. You need to lie on the bed, you need to lie there for a decent period of time and make a decision based on that before you do anything. And once you've done all that, you then just need to repeat the process. So head home, figure out what it is that you've gone through, what you've tried, what you like, what you didn't like. Figure out a little bit tighter what you think your mattresses that you want. Remember, pay attention again to your budget because you'll always find something at every price range and you're going to have the different pros and cons from when you start low to when you go very high. And as you do that, you're going to hopefully end up with a mattress that is going to be great for you to sleep on and going to give you a really good night's sleep. So it's worth investing the time to understand what's going on with it so that you don't race out and just buy the first thing that seems to be the best deal on the day. I hope you found this video series super helpful. Please like it, make comments, share the information. That's the reason why I put it together, and I look forward to bringing you more information in the future. Thanks very much.